Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a quick look at an ASUS ROG Strix gaming laptop. This is the G15 series, and I'll get you the full model when we get to the bottom of the unit for those that are curious. But this is a 15.6-inch gaming laptop. It is the AMD Ryzen based model. And so let's start, I'll go over all the specs first, and then we'll take a look at all the different ports all the way around. And so first, let's pull up the system properties here. And let me get you a little better, closer view here so you can see all that. So you can see this one has the AMD Ryzen 9. It's got the 5900 or 5980HX rather processor. And of course that has the built-in Radeon graphics right there. Clocking in at 3.3 gigahertz. We've got a modest 16 gigabytes of RAM there, and then this one came with Windows 11, and let me expand this, Windows 11 Home. There you go. All right, let's take a look at the device manager here, and you can see we've got a 512 gigabyte SSD there. We've got of course, the integrated Radeon graphics, and then we've got the dedicated RX 6800M. And let me pull up the dedicated graphics memory for those that are interested. We're going to hop over here to performance, and we've got dedicated 12 gigabytes for the graphics for the GPU. So that's pretty substantial, not too bad. And again, that's the RX 6800M there. We also have, for those interested, if you need a pause, you can see all the different Wi-Fi and different wireless adapters on this one. There's all the cores and threads expanded on that Ryzen 9 processor. And like I said, it has a 512 storage. Once you get the Windows 11 loaded up, you can see you're left with about 400 gigabytes out of that 453, and that's probably minus the recovery partition that's hidden there. So those are the basic specs. Again, it's a 15.6-inch display. I've got the brightness all the way cranked up right now, and I'll just kind of go side to side so you can see how the brightness changes a little bit. Not too bad though. It's pretty consistent from side to side there. And we do have a fairly small bezel going around here all the way up. One thing I'll point out is I am not seeing a webcam anywhere. Sometimes they put it down here at the bottom, but I'm not seeing a webcam. So I'm going to say this one does not have a webcam on it. So that's kind of interesting. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. Is that a miss? Is that something they should have added on here, or is it no big deal? Let us know what you think. Then we'll take a look here at the palm rest area and the keyboard and everything. Now these products are used that we get in our shop. So I mean, you can see this one has some wear and tear here from the palm rest area. This has been all wiped down, but you know, sometimes these finishes that the manufacturers use here, over time, with the oils and stuff from our skin, they kind of wear and you start to see some of this. So that is something to be aware of with this finish. This one does seem to show some wear and tear like that. It does have a backlit keyboard, you can see, and it has different colors going from left to right, and I'm pretty sure you can change those, configure those as you'd like to. It's got the kind of the trademark ASUS keyboard with the WSD keys separate there, kind of intended for gaming specifically, of course. And you've got a pretty typical keyboard layout. Over off to the side here, you've got some play, stop, reverse, forward, that sort of thing, a print screen, and then a delete insert key up top, and of course pretty standard function keys there. And then we also have a separate bank at the top there for volume. You've got a mute for your microphone. This one, okay, it's got maybe different profiles. Yeah, it looks like for the fan you can do silent. On the screen it shows that you can do balanced, silent, balanced. Okay, that's it for now. Those are the two different modes. So I guess if you're somewhere where you don't want to hear the fans, you can turn that down. It maybe changes some different characteristics on the processor and whatnot. And then you've got, of course, the standard ASUS, I believe they call it the Armory Crate button there that pulls up everything here. And while that's loading, I'll just show you again the rest of the keys. You do have some small LEDs up here. We've got, it's really tiny. You've got, of course, a power, light bulb, hard drive, if you're plugged in charging, and then I think that's airplane mode if I'm seeing that icon properly. And it's got a really interesting kind of micro print of the ROG, just repeated ROG right here. That's kind of an interesting detail, and it kind of cuts diagonally, and all that has the micro print there. Pretty interesting detail. And then of course you've got your kind of hexagonal shaped ASUS power button over there. And then it looks like we're finally loading here on the Armory crate. I guess it needs to install, so we'll kind of come back to that a little bit later. You've got a pretty decent size trackpad. In fact, get the ruler out here so you can see we're measuring just over 5 inches wide, and it looks like about 3 inches tall there. So a pretty decent size trackpad. And of course you got your stickers for the Ryzen stuff. Now I do like, they've got some downlighting on here. I'm starting to see a lot more of this on gaming laptops. It's kind of a nice touch. And you can see it's changing, and it goes all the way from left to right. Although I will say, if I'm being a little bit critical, the brightness, the way, you know, they've got the LEDs shining through here, the brightness is not as consistent. And I think you can probably see that in the video here, especially depending on what colors, but it's kind of brighter right here, and then right on the edges, and then it kind of fades a little bit here. It looks like they've got another light in the center here that's not as bright, and then again over on this side. So that's one thing that, if you're being picky, I think they could improve on that a little bit. But let's take a look here at the ports. We'll start over here on the right side. Set the camera down so you can get a little bit better angle here. So again, those LEDs, they go to sleep with the keyboard backlight, but they stop abruptly right here. And then you got no ports on this side. You do have some fins here and some ventilation going on in there, and that is it on this right side. So that's kind of interesting. No ports whatsoever. And then check out this hinge design. It's kind of an interesting hinge design. Watch how when you open and close how that works. It allows you, I guess, to go back a little bit further, and it doesn't rest at all on there, and that hinge just kind of tucks in there. It kind of reminds me of a trunk on a car, you know, like on a sedan, the way those arms are going in and out of there. So that's kind of an interesting detail. But yeah, really simple on this side. We'll keep going around to the back, and I'll show you the ports first, and then we'll get to the top. You can see we got more ventilation on both sides. And it's interesting, there's a different design here. So it looks like over here, they've got Roman numerals, MMVI, and then over here, it's just plain and simple. So that's kind of a nice detail that they've put in there. Then we've got a standard USB port, USB-C, which is, can't quite make out what they've got next to there on that particular port there. It's really tiny. It might be a powered USB-C perhaps, and maybe it almost looks like a mini DisplayPort icon. Definitely let us know in the comments if you know what that is, because I can't quite make that out. Then over here we've got HDMI, and then Ethernet, and then charging port there. It's just a standard with a tip, a pin in the middle, and then tip there, so nothing too extravagant. So if you lose your power adapter, you can probably get an aftermarket one, without too much difficulty. This one, for those interested, is 280 watts. It's 20 volts, 14 amps. You can see the part number right there. But yeah, this is the original power adapter there. Pretty straightforward design. And then ASUS does something kind of interesting here on this little bezel that's on the back, is you can swap this out. If you don't like that color, they give you a red one here and then a translucent one. This one just has an R on it, whereas the other two have the ROG on it. So yeah, and then as far as the upper part of this back, you can see you've got this kind of standard ASUS with the pins in the geometric grid fashion. Some of these are cut out though, so I'm not sure if there's some sensors under there or what's going on, but you can see through some of those are cut out. And then you've got the same exact deal going on here on the lid. Pretty typical for an ASUS gaming laptop, and of course their logo off to the side. So I've always been a big fan of this. It just kind of breaks up the lid there. This one, as you turn side to side, there's nothing like a holographic or, different colors in the pinholes. This one just has the ROG kind of micro print again and again. As if you go different angles, you can kind of see what that looks like. It's not really a different color, but it kind of reflects different as you come across it. It's kind of a nice detail there. Let's take a look here over at the left side. Of course, we've got more ventilation, pretty typical there. And then we've got two more USB ports on this side. And then looks like a tri-port, for a headset with mic and everything there. So kind of interesting, I'm noticing there's only one USB-C port on the whole laptop. So that's kind of interesting. And that's pretty much it. This app never really loaded. We got to restart, so I'm not going to show you that here. But let me hop over to the bottom and get you all the specifics on the model and everything. I always like the way ASUS does the bottom of their units, just give you a little bit something interesting to look at. So you can see, of course, you've got some nice ventilation on either side there, and then some more cutouts down here, and just everything's, different angles. It just breaks everything up. Of course, it says for those who dare, back on top. Some nice big beefy rubber silicone pads there on the bottom. Definitely have seen ones with taller pads, but it's enough to elevate and get the laptop for ventilation. And then of course you have more on the bottom. These are about the same thickness as the ones on the top. And you've got 1, 2, 3 across the bottom there. And otherwise, that's pretty much it. You've got this little detail here, some numbers, and then of course, Republic of Gamers, bringing it in a little bit closer if you need to make out the full model. So this one is the G15, or 51 series rather, 513, and it's the G513QY SG15R96800. And so that's going to pull up the full specs exactly like this one, as opposed to the series over here, the G513QY. And forgive me if I said earlier, I think I might have said G15, so it's actually the G513. So sorry about the confusion there. But that is the configuration on this one. Let me back up a little bit, and you can see taking this apart, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws up top, and then 2 more right here. And that's 8 total, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 along the bottom, so 12 screws total. That seems to be pretty typical nowadays on gaming laptops. And it looks like that's going to pretty much take off this whole bottom. In fact, it looks like it's going to come across this seam right here, and that's going to pull off the whole bottom panel. Same thing over here on this side. It looks like that seam is right kind of in the middle of those ports, and then going up. So it kind of goes around the sides a little bit more, as opposed to ones that have just a bottom plate that comes off. So kind of an interesting detail there. But I hope this kind of walk around is helpful for those that are interested in this particular laptop. Let us know what you think in the comments below. What are 3 things that you like about this laptop and 3 things that you dislike? I'm going to say first up 3 things that I like. I do like how ASUS does the backlighting on their keyboard, and they added this little detail along the bottom. I'm going to come back to that on my dislikes though. Second like would be, I think the screen looks, real nice and bright, especially different angles. And I do like how they did a nice thin bezel all the way around. And then last like, I always think ASUS does a good job with kind of breaking up the monotony when you've got a device with casing that's all the same here, and they've got this kind of micro print there on the laptop to make it look a little bit more interesting. And you got, of course, same thing here on the lid. So that's kind of interesting. Those are my 3 likes. And then, actually, that was just 2 likes. No, that was 3. I did the lighting down here, the screen, and then the pattern. So those are 3. 3 dislikes are going to be, first off, there's only one USB-C port on this unit here on the back. I think that's a miss. Let me know what you think in the comments if you agree. You've got plenty of USB ports. You got 1, 2, 3, but only one USB-C port. So I think I would have liked to see at least, you know, one or two more. And like I was showing you earlier, there's nothing on this side port-wise. So I think I would have liked to see maybe 2 USB-C ports right here on the side, or maybe an SD slot or something like that, just to fill in this this void. So that's definitely a dislike. Let's see, another dislike is going to be this surface, this material on the palm rest. I mean, you can see, like I said before, we've wiped this down, but it does retain some fingerprints and some of the oils. Some of the other ASUS laptops that we've had in the shop didn't do this. They had more of a, I don't know, some kind of metal alloy here. This feels more on the plastic side, and then it's got, you know, this kind of printing on it. So, you know, it doesn't maybe hold up quite as well as some of the other units that we've had in the shop there. And then my last dislike is going to be with this lighting. You know, I said I do like that, but I do think in this price point, they could have done perhaps a better job making it more consistent all the way across. And there's just some bright spots. You know, it doesn't look as even as I think they could have done there. So that's my last dislike. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What are 3 dislikes and 3 likes on this particular laptop? But I hope this walk around was helpful for you. For those who don't know, JBrokers is a risk-free secondhand marketplace. We buy and sell all sorts of different gadgets, just like this gaming laptop here. If you're looking to sell your gaming laptop or your iPhone or your tablet, definitely check our website out, as you can get an instant cash offer on over 3,000 different products 24/7 from the convenience and safety of your home. Now, there's 2 things that customers love about JBrokers. You know, we're basically an alternative to Facebook Marketplace or eBay or Craigslist. And 2 things that our customers love is we always pay the agreed upon amount for the agreed upon item. Always. There's no bait and switch gimmicks. And then secondly, we always pay our customers on the next business day after we receive the product, rain or shine. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. So definitely check us out at jaybrokers.com. That's JAY brokers.com. Thanks for watching.